Welcome to Greek for a Week. I am glad that you are viewing this week's video. And this week we are going to wrap up chapter 2, verses 5 through 11. I'm going to be looking at 3 verses today, 9, 10, and 11. We'll begin by translating because I have several things I want to talk about. So this might be a little bit longer video than what is typical. So we'll begin here with, for this reason, also God highly exalted him and freely gave to him the name which is above every name, so that in the name of Jesus every knee will bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue will confess Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Now you notice here that we begin, or I should say Paul begins verse 9 with a dia here, a dia, which is a conjunction that typically notes a beginning of a new section or a new paragraph. What I have done here is, rather than conclude chapter 2 verses 5 through 8 as one paragraph and 9 through 11 as a separate paragraph, which grammatically that can happen, I've decided to include verses 9, 10, and 11 because really it is a result. It is a result of verses 5 through 8. So I wanted to bring all of these verses together. Then we have the huper, osen. Okay, this verb here, where it's highly exalted. Again, third person singular, aorist active indicative of huper ao, means highly exalted. This, I've chosen to walk through this verb because it's a hapax legomenon, which means it only occurs here in the New Testament, and it's to raise to a high point of honor, to exalt or to raise. And so I thought that was an interesting use of the word here in this particular context. Then you have the ta, huper, pan, anama. Okay, this ta here, huper, pan, anama. I wanted to make note of this because you'll notice that I translated this ta, this initial ta here, as which is, and then I said above every name. The use of the ta there is kind of serves, if you want to say it this way, serves as a nominalizer to the prepositional phrase, which then adjusts the translation to which is above every name. And so it's what this prepositional phrase then goes back to, freely gave to him. Then in verse 10 you have the word hina, which again is a purpose clause throughout verse 10. In other words, it's what God did with the Son. That is what is his intention, and that is to based upon the name that he freely gave him, every knee will bow, and also then every tongue will confess. So this kai here in verse 11 also joins part of the purpose clause from verse 10. You have Jesu here, which is in the genitive case, and I'm going to suggest there go along with Varner in his commentary on Philippians in the Baylor Handbook series, that this is an exegetical genitive. That is, it specifies the name which is Jesus, so that in the name of Jesus, so it's specifically referencing whose name, which is Jesus. Then you have compse here. This is a third person singular aorist subjunctive, and it's subjunctive because of the hina clause here. It's compto, and that is will bow. Then lastly, I want to look at this verb here, the ex ama legacetai. Now this verb is a third person singular, also an aorist middle subjunctive of ex ama legeo, which I've translated will confess. Notice that this particular verb here that we're talking about, as well as this subjunctive here, both of them being aorist subjunctives, both of them are aorist subjunctives, again, because of the hina at the beginning of verse 10. But if you'll notice, I've translated them as futures just because in the end, everyone will acknowledge that Jesus' status will be, in the sense, as sovereign Lord. So it's almost like they're eschatological futures, which means they will indeed happen in the future. So that's why I've translated them in the future. They're using the word will. You have a hati here towards the end. This hati, if you notice, I did not translate. It's used to introduce a direct discourse clause following will confess. That is, what is it that they will confess? And that is that Jesus Christ is Lord. And so this Jesus Christ is Lord here, what you could do is you could put quotation marks around this phrase here, Jesus Christ is Lord, because the that provides the connotation that it is direct discourse. Then your last phrase, eis doxon theou patros. The eis there would indicate purpose or goal, and why will they confess Jesus Christ is Lord? It's to the glory of God the Father, or for the goal of praising God. And this patros here is a genitive, probably a genitive of apposition that further defines God, that is specifically God the Father. Well, that wraps up this paragraph. Trust it's been helpful. Next week, we will diagram the entire paragraph, 5 through 11. Have a great week.